In the late 19th century, in a small hotel room in New York, sat a man whom society considered completely bizarre. He refused to touch anyone's hair. He was obsessed with the number 3. He would suddenly isolate himself for weeks, plunging into deep silence. And often, he could be found pacing his room in the dead of night, having intense, whispered arguments with people who weren't there. To the outside world, these habits looked like madness. To his neighbors, he was just a weird, eccentric loner. But this man was Nikola Tesla, and those strange habits were not glitches in his brain. They were the mechanical exhaust of a mind that was actively designing the 20th century. You are probably not designing alternating current motors in a hotel room. But I want you to look at your own life in the shadows. Do you catch yourself doing things in private that you desperately hope no one else ever sees? Do you have habits, urges, and thought patterns that make you stop and ask yourself, wait, is something fundamentally wrong with me? Society has a very narrow definition of normal. It demands that we think in straight lines, sleep when the sun goes down, and only speak when spoken to. But psychology tells a very different story. What if I told you that the things you hide, the quirks you are ashamed of, are not symptoms of a broken mind? They are the exact neurological markers of a psychologically rare individual. Today, we are going to decode the strange behaviors of the hyperactive mind. By the end of this video, you will realize that you are not crazy. You just possess a different operating system. Let's start with the habit you hide the most. You are in your car or pacing in your bathroom, and you are having a full, passionate conversation with yourself. You rehearse future arguments. You narrate your own thoughts. You give yourself advice out loud. And when someone walks in, you instantly freeze, feeling like you've been caught committing a crime. You think it makes you look unstable. But cognitive psychology calls this self-directed speech, and it is a hallmark of an exceptionally sharp, deeply analytical mind. Average minds process information linearly, one thought at a time. But a rare mind is like a browser with 100 tabs open simultaneously. The internal world is chaotic, loud, and incredibly dense. When you speak your thoughts out loud, you are not hallucinating. You are physically externalizing the data. You are forcing a chaotic web of abstract thoughts to slow down and pass through the narrow bottleneck of language. It helps you regulate intense emotions, solve complex problems, and separate the signal from the noise. Children do this naturally while they are learning to navigate the world. Most people suppress it as they grow older to fit in. But the highly intelligent mind refuses to lose its greatest processing tool just to look normal. You are not talking to the walls. You are the architect holding a meeting with your own mind. But this intense internal world comes with a heavy tax. The second marker of a psychologically rare mind is a chronic, haunting feeling of being an outsider. Even when you are standing in a crowded room, surrounded by friends or family, you feel a strange, invisible glass wall between you and them. You listen to their conversations about the weather, gossip, or the weekend, and you feel like an alien trying to study human behavior. You wonder, why do I care about the origin of the universe or the meaning of suffering? while everyone else is perfectly happy talking about a television show. Thousands of years ago, the philosopher Plato described this exact phenomenon in his allegory of the cave. Imagine prisoners chained inside a dark cave, facing a blank wall. All they ever see are shadows projected on that wall. To them, the shadows are the absolute truth. But one prisoner breaks free. He walks outside, sees the sun, the oceans, and the real world. When he returns to tell the others that their reality is just an illusion, they don't celebrate him. They reject him. They think he is crazy. When you possess heightened self-awareness and insatiable curiosity, you see patterns that others miss. You question the rules of society that everyone else blindly accepts. This is why you ask deep, sometimes uncomfortable questions that make people look at you strangely. Your alienation is not a social defect. It is the natural byproduct of leaving the cave. You do not hate people. You are just starving for depth in a world that is obsessed with the shallows. Because you live outside the cave, your brain engages with the world differently. Have you ever experienced this? It's a random Tuesday. You are supposed to be working or studying. But instead, you spend 7 consecutive hours reading everything humanity has ever written about the Bermuda Triangle, or the French Revolution, or the mechanics of black holes. You don't just learn about a topic, you disappear into it. Psychology links this to a personality trait called openness to experience, combined with profound curiosity. You don't just want the surface-level answer, you want the roots. These sudden obsessions, these deep rabbit holes, are how your mind exercises its intellectual muscles. And notice when your mind does its best work. Do your greatest ideas, your sudden bursts of clarity, and your deepest philosophical thoughts strike at midnight? Do you feel most alive when the rest of the world is asleep? Average brains shut down at night to rest. But the rare mind uses the silence of the night to finally hear itself. During the day, the world is too loud, too demanding, and too full of social expectations. This is why you suddenly vanish from social media. This is why you crave long, deep, uninterrupted phases of silence. You are not depressed, and you are not antisocial. You possess a high degree of intrapersonal intelligence, the ability to explore your own inner universe. You require vast amounts of solitude to connect the dots that your subconscious has been gathering all day. But let us be completely honest. Being psychologically rare is not a superpower you see in movies. It is not glamorous. It is a heavy crown to wear. A mind that notices everything, questions everything, and processes everything deeply is a mind that easily becomes exhausted. Because you think so much, you are prone to overthinking. Because you feel so deeply, you are prone to existential anxiety. You carry the weight of questions that most people never even think to ask. But you must stop pathologizing your own brilliance. You must stop trying to force your vast, complex, oceanic mind into the tiny, safe boxes that society has built for average thinkers. When you talk to yourself, you are organizing the cosmos within you. When you disappear into solitude, you are recharging your internal battery. When you feel like an alien, it is only because you are looking at the stars while everyone else is looking at their shoes. The things that make you weird are the exact same things that make you profound. Do not apologize for the depth of your waters just because others have not learned how to swim. This is Cognilum. Signal in the noise.